What's up, everyone? This is Ryan here, the Crypto Grinder, and here we have OnBizMode. Andy here, man.
Hey, everyone.
Okay, so we're just gonna give a rundown of the overall stock markets, commodities, of course, in specifically precious metals, and then lastly, we're gonna talk about the cryptocurrency markets, how you're gonna prepare yourself for each pullback, why are these pullbacks happening. And we're not going to cover too much on the technicals in terms of BIP 148. I think a lot of other channels are covering that, but I just want to look at the overall general view of people are saying that it's a bear market. I completely disagree, because I don't even see that in the other I don't see it in stocks. Gold and silver basically are not showing any signs of life at the moment, right? It's actually very sideways consolidated for those two particular commodities, and those commodities are very clear indicators whether or not there's a potential in terms of a financial crisis or whatever. But I don't see that happening. So just very quickly, I would like to go into, for example, the stock markets, which is Americas, for firstly. Year to date, right, you're seeing Dow Jones already up 18.72%. And then we have the S&P 500 at 15.29%. NASDAQ at 26.88%, which is freaking awesome. I think everyone's very into the whole tech stocks and everything like that.
Definitely.
And I think at the end of the day, this is the sector that's actually performing the best, right, out of everything else, and probably pulling up the overall Dow Jones and even S&P 500. The banks are kind of like not doing too well this year. I think they haven't been doing well actually for I think a couple of years already. So we're gonna expect to see a lot of other weaknesses. Then let's look at Asia. Asia markets on a whole, we are looking for the fact that Asia has been, I guess, still positive, still up, but I don't feel that, I feel that Asia at the moment now has enjoyed that continuous prosperity. Okay, China has been slowing down because a lot of regulatory, has been a lot of regulations, especially when you talk about China, right? The outflow of funds, they can't get their funds out, and that's why Bitcoin is so popular. They're always looking for yield, because their interest rates are just bad. I mean, Asia, in terms of interest rates, especially in Singapore, right, we get like 0.1% per annum, for putting money in the bank. And I think in China it's around the same, but of course relevant to their interest rate environment. And we're looking at, we're looking at Nikkei, right? Nikkei 225, so far year to date, is at 28.62%. Okay, and you're looking at Tokyo Topics is at 29.38, and Hang Seng is at 23.9. You have CSI 300 index is at 16.26%. S&P or ASX Australia is at 9.33. Year to date, not so fantastic. And of course, we have the overall MSCI AC Asia Pacific APAC 20.74%. So I would say overall Asia has been actually outperforming Americas at the moment. Now let's look at emerging markets. Emerging markets, okay, so year to date for emerging markets, you have the EM. So we have EMEA, which is Europe and the Middle East. Okay, so you have Euro Stocks 50 up 21.32% year to date. Okay, and FTSE 100 12.73%. DAX at 28.37. Wow, Germany is doing well. And then of course we have CAC, which is the French, at 21.99%. IBEX 29.05. Wow, IBEX is at 29.05. That's pretty good. Yeah, so all in all, guys, what bear market are we talking about here? You know, it's like I don't see any fucking bear market at all. You know, it's literally just pure. You know, there's so much cheap money out there that I don't think that it's gonna affect us in the long run. I guess the cryptocurrency markets are just enjoying that break. Okay, and when I look at the cryptocurrency markets on a whole, it's not. Okay, the pullbacks are very, very fierce because we are only at 100 billion. That's the problem. We are so small compared to all the existing markets out there. Yeah. So when we have a pullback of say 10 billion, like to us it's like our portfolios are all dying. Yeah. You know? Yeah. It's like a bloodbath. But when you look at it from a greater perspective, the reason why we're even talking about the other markets, right, is just to show you that I don't see any bear. And I think you came out with a Facebook article that the bulls are actually taking a break. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's like it's yeah. So there's no reason why people should be afraid. In fact, this current point of time in June, I would like to accumulate more cryptos, especially from the top 5, you know, or even the top 4 if you're very conservative, right? Because if you don't start collecting now, and you miss out on this accumulation period. I know no one likes to accumulate, right? Everyone has enjoyed a very, very bullish and ridiculously parabolic altcoins and charts all over and over and over again. Then suddenly, right, when everything just starts to flatline, or we say consolidate, it confuses people. There's a lot of frustration. They don't know what to do, and I guess this episode we're gonna really, you know, discuss that. Yeah. So Andy, you know, how would you position your portfolio, or how would you actually, let's say you had a sum of money right now, what would you be doing?
Well, first and foremost, like okay, this is it. Let's say I've got 10,000 from Ryan, right? I mean, he's being a very nice man, just bought a nice watch, and he say, okay, I'm gonna spend 10,000 now to start a new portfolio, right? A new fund or whatever he says. So I'm like, okay, I'll be the bellboy, I'll just do it, right? So, what I'm anticipating is this. Now, like what Ryan said, I wrote an article why the bulls are resting. See, we are not in a bear market. We are in a market that's correcting, that's healthy, alright? But the issue here is that we are humans. And being humans, we are used to the fast-paced trading, we're used to the adrenaline, we're used to the buy and dump, we're used to the highs, and we're not used to the lows. And neither are we used to consolidation. So that's why I put a question in my article I wrote. You know, why are people not asking me when the bulls are ending? They just keep asking when's the bear gonna stop? When's the correction gonna stop? No one asked me when it was high, you know, and no one asked me that. So when it was really at a high, at a peak, no one was asking the right question. No one was asking, hey, when is it gonna stop? Because everyone's just enjoying it. See, that's the problem with humans. We just enjoy it, and then we forgot about the correction to come or to take profit. So here's the thing. Let's say I got $10,000 now, and I want to prepare for BIP 148, or say I just want a good portfolio, I want a strong one, I'm a swing trader, I'm a position trader, and like I always say is that how would Warren Buffett trade in this situation? See, he is a great investor because he has certain values and the discipline that he has, right? So using that same logic and, you know, using his method, emulating what he does, he will definitely go for a swing trade or a position trade. He's not like a day trader, like a scalper, right? You take away the emotions and you take away being bought, then you'll be fine. Okay, you'll be trading on good terms. So I'll definitely, like what Ryan said, be stocking up on the top 5. Mainly, we always talk about, we'll talk about Ethereum Classic and Litecoin. Well, these two will definitely survive.
What about Ethereum? Shall we buy Ethereum at the moment? Every Ethereum fan would want to know, are we gonna buy Ethereum?
Okay, personally, I'm not buying, I'm holding. And I'm not stocking up more Ethereum. There's a few reasons why. I've been mentioning that quite a few times. Okay, so do you want me to tell it now?
I think yeah, you should, right? Okay. I mean, they will want to know why. Like, okay. Why are we buying more Ethereum?
So okay, this is like the $1 million question. Right? Okay, I'm gonna sit tight on that. Now, the reasons are very simple, right? One is that we understand that the network is slowing down, right? The transactions are not going through, and people are wary of that. right? And they are kind of like, is it going to be the next Bitcoin with slow transaction, high charges and cost? Ethereum is going there in that direction. So sooner or later, you will need a SegWit by himself for Ethereum as well. And the second truth, and I think it's quite scary, is the deregulation of ICO. See, ICOs are coming in big numbers. And look at the recent status ICO, right? There was $65 million raised in, say, 6 hours or something, or 12 hours. And everyone has to sell Ethereum to get the status token. And so that was one of the trigger point why Ethereum corrected huge, right? I wouldn't say that's the only factor. I would say that's one of it. Now, of course, there's another factor that said, hey, the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, he got into an accident and blah, blah, blah. That's a rumor, right? We don't buy into rumor, we buy into facts. So I personally won't really be buying extra Ethereum. I would then be only holding because I believe and position trade it because I believe that Ethereum is going to go to the moon in the next few years to come. I don't know when. I'm not going to speculate. I'm just saying I will hold on to it. And yeah, it will go to levels. But as of now, I won't be buying as much. I won't be stocking up as much because I do know there's going to be some correction going on here and there. And so I want to be looking at the top 5, excluding, say, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Yeah, and that will be where my direction would be. Yeah.
Okay. So now, would you recommend, for example, let's say if we in this kind of market, I think even now, I mean our chat, right, has been actually still profiting.
Yep.
Okay, we have our channel has been not only we're not only turning profits for people during this month, right? It has been pretty boring. But nonetheless, because of the fact that we are always consistently providing the levels and we are pretty accurate at providing those levels, people have been generating 15 to 30% returns, on their money. And what do we do, how do we advise people to do with those profits? We have been suggesting USD Tether. We have been suggesting Ripple even. We have been suggesting altcoins that have potential ROIs, which are ETC and Litecoin. And of course, last but not least, we are suggesting that people actually have some hard assets, right? Or in this case, precious metals, which is gold and silver.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't understand that a diversification within the same sector, which is of course crypto, is not going to protect you in terms of any kind of, if there was a crash, right? No market is going to benefit, of course. Every asset is going to take a hit. So you need to find something that's negatively correlated. Now, crypto is tech specific. Okay, let's just put it that way. It's tech specific. So if the tech stocks are suffering, the sentiment would probably pull crypto down as well. Crypto is not going to be spared. Now, if you have anything with regards to the bond markets, or say the bond markets are gonna have a crash in the bond markets, then you're gonna probably see money from the bonds flow into stocks or into crypto, possibly, right? But no one knows for sure because we have not experienced a global financial crisis as of now. In this new era, everything is just being held up by cheap money. And Trump, and of course we are just seeing this new volume that's really pumping into crypto. Like when I was doing the whole consultation with my clients, right, it was very surprising because in 2014 it was only at 6 billion. 2015 7 billion. Then of course it got a little bit exciting in 2016 where it was 17 billion. Now currently we haven't even ended the year.
Yeah.
We're at 100 billion, 102 billion, right? Okay. So it'll be interesting to find out how we finish. Are we gonna finish around the 100 billion mark, 200 billion mark, or could we actually correct to 50 billion?
Well,
that's a question that a lot of I would think about that because it would depend how invested the whales want to be. Right? If I was a whale, I would probably want to stay, a portion of my money would want to stay invested in the markets.
Right.
And the rest, of course, I will be speculating. That's why you notice, right, there is a flaw for every pullback. Like the recent pullback that we've had for the past month, and we're talking about a few days and we get a pullback, a few days then we get a pullback.
Yep.
It's always around, say, 90 billion. Okay, let's say around 90 billion, and then after that it goes back up another. We enjoy another 10 billion to 15 billion, and then we have a pullback again.
Yeah.
So all the little guys are having their portfolios having 25 to 30, even 40% swings. That is a lot to stomach, right? Especially if you have a portfolio that is not structured properly, the volatility is going to be worse, right? I have clients who are so diversified that when they are in altcoins that have very small market caps, right? It can be as bad as 60-70%.
Yep, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So yes, it does recover, but we won't know, like, the next Q3, Q4, are those cryptos gonna be in the limelight? But what I do know is that the top 5 are always gonna be so-called the go-to cryptos.
Definitely.
Right? For sure, because it's just human psychology that you want to stick your money into the safer stuff, the ones that have the better developments.
Yep.
And that's how we advise. You know, it's very important, and I think that most YouTubers out there who are in the cryptocurrencies don't want to put their calls, right? They always say, you know, we don't provide financial advice, blah blah blah. But I think when you educate in the right way, it's okay to provide that kind of financial advice.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
It's an unregulated market. So why are we, like, so concerned whether or not we're providing levels or not? I think, yeah, sure. You know, people are at the end of the day gonna make their own decisions, right? We're not saying that you have to buy this. We don't promote that way. Neither will we ever promote a particular crypto that has zero fundamentals. So having said that, I think the hedging strategy is very, very important, because you want to hedge. Wait, give me a second. You want to hedge into, you know, gold and silver with those profits. And not only that, you want to hedge into USD Tether. Why? Okay, let's talk about USD Tether first. Am I right to say that every time when we want to buy cryptos, right? It doesn't even allow us to. Okay, we have problems logging onto Coinbase.
Yeah.
I mean, we use CoinHako. Sometimes they run out. They're fine, but they run out.
Yep.
Or the spreads are horrible. I'm not sure about how Americans are having in terms of buying cryptos at the moment. I don't know how difficult it is. So maybe you can comment on this video, like, how difficult it is and how long it takes for you to buy your Litecoins or your cryptos in general. You know, we really would like to know. And I think the regulations are really starting to clamp down on exchanges. That's for sure. And the AML, you know, regulatory bodies are starting to look into crypto already. I mean, they should, right?
They should.
Yeah, because of all the tax evasion and that's going on.
Yep.
But having said that, we're talking about capitalizing on opportunities, and it's very sad that when we are in fiat, we want to buy during a dip. We can't, right? Because currently the traffic is so huge that the server cannot handle. So we're talking about CB here, right? So they can't handle that, and every time it's service unavailable. Okay, so why we suggested USD Tether is due to the fact that at least when you log on, you're able to capture you're able to capture those moments. Okay, now when you're in USD Tether, unfortunately there is a small, like, maybe 1 to 3% spread, but it's okay, right? Because we're looking at big money here. We're looking at the future of where this crypto could be. So we stick to cryptocurrencies, of course, but particularly Poloniex, that allow not just entering through Bitcoin, but entering through taking positions with USD Tether as well. So when you want to buy those cryptocurrencies, right, it's not just limited to Bitcoin, but you are also able to buy with USD Tether. And so far, our chat has been you know, really benefiting from this strategy, and I think, you know, people are taking it very, very seriously, and they have been benefiting because they not only can you know, lock in their profits from a falling BTC, but they can also just capitalize on a falling altcoin and use Tether to enter the markets. they are getting educated as well. And that's really awesome. Now, apart from that, we would want to emphasize, of course, looking into gold or silver. So, Andy, between gold and silver, which one would be your take if you were to say take profit, into gold or silver? Like, which one would you choose?
Well, I mean, there has been a lot of talks about commodities, right? I mean, between gold and silver especially, and commodity requires another form of analysis, right? In terms of adaptability, adoption, which countries are using it, which countries are mining it. It's another set of knowledge that you gotta have here. But of course, comparing gold and silver, I am a gold guy. I look at gold, partly because I know that it's part of a jewelry. It's mainly used, a lot of countries demand for it, and there's a huge demand going on, especially in Asia. And they use it for jewelry and stuff like that. So I do know in terms of commodity wise, gold will be a good hedge. And when you do look at the prices of gold, I mean, it has been going through a little dips here and there. But of course, knowing gold, it's consolidating very well, ranging here and there. There isn't really a big, huge movement. Yeah. But when the economic downturn does come, we're not sure when. I mean, we're not going to speculate here. But when it does come, it's going to be huge this time around because it's going to be led by all the markets, be it the bond market, the indexes, the stocks, whatever, real estate, they're all at a very high price. So when that does happen and it does hit, see, none of the currencies in the world will survive. Everything will be hit, right? Unemployment rates will go high and people start losing their jobs and everyone gets frustrated. And at that point in time, gold prices will start climbing because it's a good hedge against inflation. Or not just inflation, sorry, in terms of economic downturn. So think of Bitcoin as the same logic here. I think that's what Ryan's trying to say, right? So think of Bitcoin as a digital gold. Yeah, and when that happens, people will be starting to look for a better way to keep their money. Right, and gold is not easy to buy. You gotta have access to gold. You gotta have access to modern banking. You gotta have access to stuff like that. But in a lot of parts of the world, you can't really have access to that. But you can download an app, and if you are able to download, you are able to buy bitcoins. You are able to hold it. You are able to transact with it. Well, that's a whole market on its own. And it could be people are either looking at Bitcoin as a form of technology, as a form of currency, or even just as a form of hedge against inflation and economic downturn. I think Bitcoin is one of them. But definitely, like what Ryan said, we all diversify. I'm largely diversified as well. I do own bonds, stocks, and gold, and I'm planning to go even more into gold. Yeah, after what Ryan shared me. Yeah, so that's my perspective on how I see commodities. Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, of course, are there other assets that we could we could capitalize on or hedge? Property, I think it's one of those things where if your portfolio was large enough and you could actually buy property, should you? I mean, at this current point, I would say that as long as you are in an emerging market kind of scenario, in an emerging market country, I think property is still fine. You don't want to have a hot property market, right? Because a hot property market would be a bubble as well.
Yep.
Okay, and being that it's a larger asset class, you won't want to be caught because in a financial crisis, right, interest rate environments go up.
Yep.
So when interest rate environments go up, you're actually going to be caught on the wrong end because you're going to have to either the banks are going to drop your valuation, right?
Yep.
Because they're worried that you're not able to pay, right? Because of defaults.
Yep.
So you're going to have to top up the difference or you have to fire sale. It's very sad. And that's what I noticed. Now, when it was 2008, 2009, it actually happened. So in Asia, we were willing to give an LTV, loan to value, of I think maybe very conservatively 60%.
Yep.
Which was, it used to be 90, then it became 60. I think it's back to 80 again.
Yeah.
So you see, so now the banks have to lend more aggressively because they want to earn interest. The banks want to earn interest. That is usually one of the main revenues. The main revenue. It's one of the bigger revenue incomes, right? Lending. So when you are too conservative, naturally you're not going to get that much interest payments.
Yep.
And then from then you look into structuring products and SPV, special purpose vehicles, so on and so forth. So that being said, right, we would want to make sure that we get you hedged properly, especially when your portfolios are into the markets, okay, into the cryptocurrency markets. Learn to look you learn to look outside of crypto.
Yep.
Right? I mean, the most important thing, learn to look outside of crypto. Sometimes holding cash ain't a bad thing. Because when you hold cash and there is a market pullback, say at the end of the year, people want to take profits off the cryptocurrency markets, they need to go somewhere.
Yep.
And I guarantee you the whales will always still go to cash. Okay? They're not going to be like invested like you and me and believing so much. They're here for profits, guys. So in between, if you believe in a particular crypto, then the best thing to do is stick to the good ones, or at least try to hunt for the good ones that make sense. Okay? And then stay invested.
Yep.
Okay? So with that being said, thank you so much, Andy, for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
And you know, guys, we just want to wrap it up. And of course, going forward, it's going to be the month of July. We hope that after BIP 148, things are going to be a little bit more settled. We're going to see the markets at least become slightly healthier in crypto.
Yep.
That's what we anticipate, and that's why we've been positioning people in our chat.
Definitely.
To really keep accumulating. You know, not being greedy, taking crazy profits or anything like that, but just accumulating. So, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Remember to subscribe, comment, and don't forget, make sure you click that fucking like button, guys. Okay? See you guys. Bye.